4 months, the disappearance of 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack has been defined by one agonizing fact. Nothing. Nothing in the forest. No footprints, no discarded toy, no broken branch, and not a single scent trail for the dogs to follow. This absolute silence, in a case involving 2 young children, became the most haunting element of the entire investigation in Landstown, Pictou County. Experienced search teams insisted children who wander off always leave a trace. Yet, for Lily and Jack, the woods yielded only a void. This absence led investigators to cling to the early, yet increasingly fragile, theory that the children had simply become lost in the vast wilderness. But a determined new strategy, spearheaded by volunteer search groups, has changed the map. Abandoning the exhausted forest trails, they turned their focus to the banks of the Middle River, a place water specialists call a keeper of secrets. Water has a memory, they argue, capable of preserving signs of human movement long after forest evidence decays. And today, that strategy paid off with a vengeance. After months of dead ends, 2 enormous clues have reportedly surfaced along a newly flagged section of the riverbank, signaling the first true signs of progress since the children vanished. These are not rumors. They are physical discoveries that the RCMP is now racing to verify. Tensions have spiked, because what was found today might not just solve a disappearance. It might confirm what many have long feared, that Lily and Jack did not simply wander off. The first physical clue reported by searchers is a freshly disturbed section of soil along a remote riverbank. This area was not part of the original, massive search grid. It was narrow, tucked away, and shielded by dense, overhanging brush, meaning earlier teams had likely walked right past it. But the trained eyes of the volunteers immediately recognized that the soil's pattern did not match the natural erosion of the riverbank. This wasn't the scatter of floodwaters. It was compressed, almost sculpted by recent weight. Witnesses report the ground was slightly sunken in a defined shape, as if a person had stepped, kneeled, or braced themselves near the water's edge. Even more telling, small plant roots were bent downward, and a thin patch of river moss had been peeled away, exposing fresher, lighter soil beneath, the kind of sign that only appears when the earth has been recently moved. While no official link has been made to Lily or Jack, the combination of these concentrated, unusual indicators in a spot supposedly undisturbed for months has added a profound new layer of urgency. Simultaneously, a volatile rumor has surfaced and begun to ripple through the community, threatening to contaminate the investigation's integrity. Reports claim a local man, Wayne Mackenzie, intentionally blocked the road leading toward this exact riverbank search zone, allegedly forcing volunteers to detour, losing precious early morning search time. The post quickly became an online flashpoint, fueling outrage and demands for accountability. This road-blocking incident remains unverified by the RCMP or major news outlets. Yet, the timing, appearing on the same day as the physical clues, has amplified its impact, leading many to falsely connect the 2 events as evidence of obstruction or a cover-up. Investigators now face a dual problem: verifying crucial physical evidence while simultaneously battling the fog of unreliable claims that could divert resources and inflame community suspicion. If the disturbed soil represents movement, the second, and arguably most critical, discovery represents a potential match. Near the waterline, tangled in a cluster of low-hanging branches, searchers found a small piece of weather-worn fabric. Partially submerged, it looked at first like common debris. But upon closer inspection, the material revealed a soft, pastel blend of light tones that immediately drew the attention of volunteers. Why? Because the palette closely resembles the clothing Lily Sullivan was reported to be wearing on the day she vanished. 4 months, the case has been agonizingly devoid of any personal items. No toys. No shoes. Nothing that could be definitively tied back to the children. This tiny scrap is the first object in months that even remotely matches anything linked to them. While the RCMP must now run crucial forensic tests, comparing fibers, checking for DNA, and analyzing its forensic value, the possibility alone has electrified the investigation. Search experts highlight the placement as especially compelling. It wasn't dropped randomly. It was entangled, snagged by branches as if carried by water during a higher flow. Finding it deep along a previously unsearched riverbank, far from the home, raises profound questions. Did it arrive naturally? Or was it carried by someone moving along that route after the disappearance? If this fabric is confirmed to be Lily's, it would be the first confirmed physical trace tied to either child since they went missing. It would be the fragile, thin thread that investigators, starved for evidence, have been desperate for, the thread that might finally begin to unravel the entire case. Beyond the two primary discoveries, the disturbed soil and the fabric, volunteers pointed out several probable clues that investigators are now forced to consider, suggesting a pattern of unnatural activity at the river's edge. The first is a set of unusual, drag-like markings carved into the mud. These were not the smooth grooves of water flow or the chaotic imprints left by foraging wildlife. Witnesses describe them as deliberate, long, shallow streaks that maintained a straight, consistent path, looking as if something heavy had been pulled inch by inch across the river's edge, directly toward the water. While an animal cannot be ruled out, the consistency of the marks raises immediate red flags for investigators focused on human concealment or movement. Furthermore, the volunteers identified a small area where gravel and small stones had been piled in a way that defied natural deposition. Typically, river currents spread sediment evenly. Here, the stones appeared to be gathered into a compact, raised mound, positioned unnaturally close to the water. In isolation, any of these signs could be dismissed. But when combined with the confirmed disturbance in the soil and the discovery of a piece of potentially matched clothing, they begin to paint a worrying, cohesive picture. The sheer number of unusual indicators in a single, small, previously unsearched area strongly suggests that the middle riverbank was utilized in a manner that was not recreational and not natural sometime after the children went missing. The original theory, that Lily and Jack wandered off and vanished without a trace, simply cannot account for the kind of activity being uncovered now. These are the telltale signs of a person deliberately interacting with the river environment, possibly to conceal evidence or to move along an obscured route. The disappearance of Lily and Jack has reached its critical juncture. After months of silent, cold trails, the focus has shifted from the vastness of the forest to a tiny, compressed, and now highly suspicious section of riverbank. The next few days will be essential, hinging entirely on forensic verification. The RCMP must prioritize the analysis of the found fabric. Is the pastel blend a confirmed match to Lily's clothing? If the fibers match, the entire framework of the investigation collapses, replacing the wandered-off theory with a criminal investigation rooted in physical evidence. In parallel, investigators must deploy specialized teams to analyze the disturbed soil and the drag marks. Can a forensic geologist determine the time frame of the disturbance? Can they identify the weight or force that caused the compression? And perhaps most challenging, they must work to manage the intense flow of unverified information stemming from the alleged roadblocking incident. The community's outrage is understandable, but that anger must not be allowed to skew witness accounts or divert resources away from the primary evidence on the riverbank. Every minute spent chasing a baseless rumor is a minute lost in the crucial analysis of the tangible clues now on hand. The silence that defined this case for so long has been broken. The river, as volunteers hoped, is beginning to share its memory. What was found today has completely shifted the direction of the investigation, forcing police to finally confront the question: what truly happened to Lily and Jack on the banks of the Middle River?